Hello. Today I'll be explaining the difference between causation and correlation based off of the book Freakonomics. I found a quote that I believe helps to explain the problem with not understanding the difference between causation and correlation. The invalid assumption that correlation implies cause is probably among the 2 or 3 most serious and common errors of human reasoning. That was stated by Stephen Jay Gould. Now, before I explain the difference between causation and correlation, we should understand the definitions of each of the 2 words. Found on page 163 of Freakonomics, the text states that correlation is nothing more than a statistical term that indicates whether 2 or more variables move together. And dictionary.com states that the definition of causation is a connection between 2 events or states such that one produces or brings about the other, where one is the cause and the other is the effect. This is also known as causality. Now, I'm going to start with correlation. I'm going to use 2 examples, one from real life and one from the text. Starting with real life, I have used ice cream sales during the years 2012 to 2015 as my example. Now, this graph shows the correlation of temperature and ice cream sales. So as the temperature rises throughout the summer months, so does ice cream sales. Now, everyone thinks when they think of summer, they think of ice cream. Now, that is not a causation because summer does not cause ice cream sales. It is a correlation because of the temperature rising, and then that causes ice cream sales. Now on to causation. I will use both a real-life example and an in-text example for this too. So, my out-of-text example is this graph. As you can see, it shows the risk of cancer and how much you smoke. Now, this is an example of causation because the more you smoke, the greater risk of cancer. And you can see the difference shown by the orange, which is non-smokers, and the gray, which is female and male. My intakes example is found on page 4 of Freakonomics. There is a quote that says, "They were the very women whose children, if born, would have been much more likely than average to become criminals. But because of Roe versus Wade, these children weren't being born. These unborn children would have entered their criminal primes, the rate of crime began to plummet." This quote shows that since the legalization of abortion, the children that would become criminals weren't being born, and this caused a drop in the crime rate. So, in conclusion, the difference between causation and correlation is the relationship of the 2 parts. Correlation is 2 things moving together. So, for the ice cream example, if the temperature rises, the ice cream sales also rise. And this would also happen if the ice cream sales started to decrease, the temperature would also start to decrease. And causation is pretty much just cause and effect. So that is why the smoking example is so great, because the more you smoke causes a greater risk of cancer. So, the main difference between the 2 is if the 2 parts either move together or cause one another. Thank you for watching.